Now, karibu sana, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again. And there is this discussion, little bit, that I want us to do about Kithure Kindiki, how he handled the interview, and we connect it with how William Ruto handled the cabinet sitting that he had, okay, yesterday. And it's very important to note that it was surprising to the majority of Kenyans. In fact, every Kenyan was taken aback when they saw Kithure Kindiki being so low in handling a serious interview with Sam Gituku at a moment when we needed to see the greatest professionalism that every opinion survey, every media has been telling us that, Kithure Kindiki is the best performing CS in William Ruto's cabinet. Are we really sure Kithure Kindiki has been performing bestly on what happened to him yesterday?
Criminals to overrun parliament amounts to overthrowing the constitution. And
how did you stop it?
In the manner in which you saw. You told me you were there. That's how we stopped.
No, I'm asking you, you're the cabinet secretary.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you, in the manner in which you saw.
How did you stop it?
We stopped it the way you saw it.
Please,
that's why it didn't succeed.
How did you stop it, Waziri?
We prevented it from completing itself.
How so?
Yeah, by resisting criminals.
What does that mean?
Exactly that. Just frustrating a criminal so that he doesn't succeed.
People are killed.
There was loss of life, and an account will be given on every death that happened on that day or any other day. That is the law.
And you don't know who killed people there?
Investigations are ongoing.
But you stopped it?
We stopped what?
You said you stopped?
Not me. It's law enforcement.
Those are your words, Waziri. I'm quoting you.
I'm speaking for government. Government is the interior minister. The police falls under my docket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I said we stopped it, it's not me who was in parliament.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, to the people that were killed, specifically there, because you said that you gave justice, you'll account for each and every person that was killed. And now you're saying you had to stop it. What does justice look like for such kind of people?
It looks like I've just told you.
That
any person...
There was something very unusual. And this is something we can actually deduce from the moment William Ruto convened the cabinet sitting and they discussed heavy matters. And these heavy matters, have repercussions. And if you were to talk of somebody who was feeling the victimization out of that, and they are falling to be the casualties, then definitely you will agree with me when I tell you that there was something very much unusual that happened in that cabinet sitting. And one of the victims is Kithure Kindiki, the cabinet secretary for interior. All right. If you compare the interview that Kithure Kindiki had vis-a-vis the interview that Aden Duale had with Jeff Koinange on Wednesday, they are very much contrasting. There is a distinction. If you look at Aden Duale's interview, you'll be saying definitely well that perhaps Aden Duale has a secured place in President William Ruto's system. And that is the same thing that I've been telling you all along. Because for him, he was so much hyped. He was over the moon. He was not gloomy. He was not, perturbed by the way he was handling things, because he knew exactly well that his space is assured in President William Ruto's system.
He can make it 14, he can make it 15, he can make it 22. But let me tell you, Jeff, Ruto must go slogan. It's not a Gen Z slogan.
It's the slogan. They've been using this throughout.
I want you to be fair. It's Kalonzo Musyoka. It is, it is Kioni. It is Miguna. It is the traditional cabal group of people who are not Gen Zs, who have not recovered and who cannot wait for 2027. And they even feel, because Baba is going to AU, they have no chance in 2027. And in their wildest dream, they feel there is a shortcut to change William Ruto. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 does not envisage that, my friend. You cannot change You cannot even tell an MCA he must go. Yes. Those are words. But it's coming from who? From those who should occupy their places in the opposition, traditional people who never liked, who never voted for William Ruto. And we respected it. We respected their views. I mean, William Ruto today is the president of the Republic of Kenya. And he, as I enumerated to you, his scorecards are there.
And if you look at the way Kithure Kindiki was handling his interview, this man was so much forlorn. As Haruki Murakami will say in Half a Day and the Short Stories from Africa, he was so much gloomy, he was so much unprofessional, he was answering questions the way he liked, at a time when we really expected that, you know, at such time, somebody in his caliber, in his stature, needed to come on board and be professional when handling such interview. So ladies and gentlemen, for me, I noted just two things, very much probable, based on how, you know, Kithure Kindiki undertook his interview. Number one, it could be that when they were from the cabinet meeting, the discussions that the president had with them were not very much encouraging, especially for the side of Kithure Kindiki. And by the way, what the media reported to us, based on how William Ruto handled the cabinet, you know, William Ruto did not post like the usual norm of him alerting us, even how the cabinet ministers are arriving at State House to handle the meeting. This time round, it was not business usual, okay? There was something that was seriously a thorn in the flesh to a section of the cabinet members. And so if you are to relate that with the mood, the kind of approach that Kithure Kindiki gave that interview, it could be that Kindiki faced some kind of heat in that cabinet. Or perhaps he had the hint, a very solid one, that if William Ruto is going to scale down his, you know, cabinet, then definitely he's going to fall a victim. You know, the media reported that William Ruto is going to scale down the cabinet to 15. What Gen Zs actually demanded William Ruto to scale to 14. So still, it's a concurrence in a way. And you can just imagine, serious men and women are going to go home. And William Ruto must just have to make a serious decision. And the decision that must be made must have political consequences at the end of the day. So if Kithure Kindiki is supposed to face the axe, then he was rightly put to approach the interview the way he approached. He was kind of trying to aribu than we thought he would be trying to build William Ruto at that time, having been known as a man who stands for the government and very much professional and is a performer. There was something which was amiss, ladies and gentlemen, and you could actually tell. In fact, that gave Sam Gituku an opportunity to even dig deeper into the archives and got the moment when Kithure Kindiki was the senator, when he was in the Senate trying to, you know, hit on Uhuru Kenyatta's regime and tell him the writings are on the wall. And he made statements which now, okay, Sam Gituku actually pinned him. And he had just to dodge his ways. There is that part where he said that, you know, there's going to be a war in the country. You remember those times when they used to really hit Uhuru so much in Ruto's, lieutenant base? It was such a serious mess.
The kind of anger we have caused in this country, I dread, God forbid, is the kind of anger that made the citizens of Burkina Faso to burn down parliament. And when the president of Burkina Faso, that was 3 years ago, I'm not talking about prehistory. When the president of Burkina Faso had the parliament is in flames, he fled. His name is Blaise Compaoré. That's how he was voted out of office, by fire. Mr. Speaker, history is replete with strong generals and powerful kings and monarchs who have been brought down by the power of the people. And Mr. Speaker, today I want to remind them of a man called Belshazzar, a man who God favored to be king in the book of Daniel. Instead of being grateful that God has honored you among so many millions of citizens to be their leader, he entertained a government that was so divisive, so oppressive. And he did a big party and called all the important men whose fathers and mothers were important people at that time. And the Bible says he made a feast And he entertained them in that feast and even went on to commit sacrilege by using the utensils that had been taken from the temple to commit and drink the drink of fornication using the vessels taken from the temple. Mr. Speaker, as they were enjoying, as they were making merry, as the deep state was celebrating, as the system was celebrating, suddenly, and I say suddenly, there is going to be a war in this country. There is going to be a writing on the wall. Mene, Tekel, and Parisi.
And so, when you compare with what is happening right now, it is like what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. And by the way, the media was telling us that before President, held the cabinet meeting, he had some 45 minutes with Rigathi Gachagua. Perhaps everything that they discussed, like Rigiji, this is the man that we are going to relieve. Can we retain this one? Can we release this one? Perhaps Kithure Kindiki was in the mix of conversation. And right now, as you know, their relationship with Rigiji and William Ruto cannot mess with Rigiji. Definitely, Kithure Kindiki's position is precariously placed right now. I don't know what's going to happen when the president finally comes on board and tells us these are the scaled down structures that we are going to have on board. If Kithure Kindiki goes, it will be a kaput. The other person that we need to be very much seriously looking at is Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria has been always dubbed as Mpiaro, somebody who can damage William Ruto's political angle when he is let go and he is not encouraged so much, he is not given an alternative. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's give time, because I know the president is going to speak about the scaling of the cabinet and the structure that is going to give us going forward. I'll see you next. Have a great moment.